Danielle, let's go ahead. Oh,
Apparently, thumbs up gave me that wonderful fireworks and confetti. The two thumbs up gave me that. Okay, cool. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Danielle Larregui. I am a senior developer advocate at Salesforce. I am on the same team as Akshata Sawant. Uh, I think we have an introduction slide. So,
yeah,
and
we
this is
do.
going to be, so I won't go too deep in this one, but welcome to Power Up Data Cloud with MuleSoft. And you want to say anything, Akshata?
Yes, welcome to MuleSoft meetups. And this is really exciting because I'm doing this virtual meetup after a really long time. So during COVID time, I would say, I mean, it was all about virtual meetups, and we used to have every like virtual MuleSoft meetup every month almost, and it was like kind of a ritual. And it actually feels so good to be back here and with this new portal, and I can see that Bevy is a lot more better now than it used to be. This platform actually. So yeah, with that, let's get started. We can go ahead with the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and here is our forward-looking statement. Please remember, Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so please make all your purchasing decisions your based off of what is available in the system today, and not what we say might be coming as a future product or enhancement. Okay, so here's we'll get into our real introductions. So really excited to be here today. I have loved the MuleSoft community every time that I get to collaborate with them, with Akshata or Alex. So hoping to do some more collaborations with the MuleSoft community. As I said previously, I'm a developer advocate at Salesforce, and I mostly focus on the data cloud platform. Um, I live in Dallas, Texas, in America, and if you want to connect with me, you could follow me on Twitter, or you could also follow me on LinkedIn.
About me, I'm Akshata Sawant, currently based in London. Previously, I have been MuleSoft ambassador, mentor. I have been in the MuleSoft community for a really long time now. It's almost 7 years, and I love MuleSoft community. Currently, I'm a developer advocate with Danielle on the same team and evangelizing MuleSoft among the community. So if you guys have any queries about MuleSoft, new products, or anything associated with it, you can feel free like to ping me over LinkedIn or over Twitter. Yeah, and I would be looking forward to connecting with you guys over events as well. With that, we can get started with our topic today.
So what you're going to learn today is how to connect Data Cloud and MuleSoft together, and some use cases that are common for using Data Cloud in MuleSoft. Now, this might feel a little bit quick because this was actually a theater session at TDX within 20 minutes. So we kind of just made sure that the content was really, really skimmed down and direct. But I think we have a longer time block here today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at the end and we'll address them. All right. So let's jump into how Data Cloud works. You might not be familiar with Data Cloud since you guys are mostly muleys, or you might have already started digging in with some Data Cloud, but either way, we're going to explain it here. So Data Cloud is a customer data platform, and it's designed to harmonize data that is stored in multiple source systems about a customer. So if you think about the different things that you're storing about a customer, it could be some type of account information, sales information, purchase information, even service information such as like tickets or cases. So all of this might be stored in different disparate systems. Like you might have, Salesforce as your CRM, or ServiceNow as your ticketing system. And so what Data Cloud is designed to do is to really harmonize and ingest all of that information that might be stored in these disparate and disconnected systems, and pull it in via something called connectors. So out of the box, Data Cloud has connectors similar to like what MuleSoft has as well. And so it has a Salesforce CRM connector, which allows you to pull in Sales Cloud data. So that would be your account, your opportunities, your leads, your contact records, Service Cloud data, such as cases. It also has a connector to Marketing Cloud, which allows you to pull in like subscriber information, as well as Commerce Cloud to pull in any type of purchase information or purchase data. You also have the ability to ingest data that is stored as a CSV on certain cloud providers, such as Amazon S3. Google Cloud and Google Cloud Storage, and Azure and their blob storage. So there's out-of-the-box connectors that you can configure to pull in data via batch from those CSV records on an hourly or sometimes even sooner basis. And then there's also the ability to connect to some large data lakes and warehouses like Snowflake and BigQuery using our Bring Your Own Lake um, functionality. And then we also have a variety of SDKs. So we have a variety of web SDKs, which allows you to put in some custom code to be able to ingest behavioral information about what a person is doing on your website. And then we also have our mobile SDK, which allows you to pull in iOS and Android information so it can capture engagement and activities that's happening on an Android or iOS custom developed app. And then we have our ingestion API, which is what MuleSoft uses to connect to Data Cloud. And the ingestion API allows you to create your own connector and then just upload your schema in OAS format. And then from there, you can ingest data either via batch or event-based data via streaming into Data Cloud. So there's a lot of different ways to get data into Data Cloud. This list is still growing. I always see this and I'll be like, oh, they forgot to add this. Like we have our SFTP connector as well, which also needs to be added because all these new connectors are coming out on a pretty frequently basis now. So the idea is that you configure these connectors to pull in data into Data Cloud's harmonized data lake. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into what the data lake consists of in a future slide, but all of that gets harmonized in Data Cloud's data lake so that then you can do things with the data, like our activation. So you have the ability to create insights using SQL, do aggregations and measures. You also have the ability to segment the data to create audiences that can be used in Google Ad audiences, Meta Ad audiences, as well as Amazon ads. And the reason why we have a lot of the marketing capabilities with the ad audiences is because this is a customer data platform, and customer data platforms are widely used in the marketing space. That's a tool that a lot of marketers like to use to be able to see that single source of truth of their customers. There's also a few connectors with Tableau that allow you to pull in data and pull out data from Data Cloud and use it in reports and dashboards in Tableau via the out-of-the-box connectors. And then we also have the ability to use this in AI as well. So they're working on the new vector database to be able to do things such as semantic search. There's also Model Builder, which now sits on top of Data Cloud out of the box, which allows you to do predictive analytics. And there's also the ability to use your own AI models that you've built in either SageMaker, Vertex AI, or Databricks, and put this data into either large language models, machine learning models, et cetera, et cetera. So we also have the ability to bring your own LLM now, bring your own large language model. So really this functionality is growing for Data Cloud for where you can use this data in different sources and different systems. Yes, there is a Google Cloud connector. So it's right here. And that's a question from the chat. So right here, so you can either pull in data, CSV data from a bucket on Google Cloud Storage. I have a blog up on how to do that. So you go to our Salesforce developers blog. There's a step-by-step blog on that. And then there's also the ability with our Bring Your Own Lake connector to pull in data from BigQuery as well, and also to send Data Cloud data to BigQuery. So that BigQuery integration is bi-directional. To be able to send data. So those are the two ways to get data into Google Cloud. Great question. Okay. So the very first thing that you have to do with Data Cloud is create a connection between Data Cloud and some source system. So remember, you pull in all this data via our connectors. Well, you first have to make the connection. And the way that you make the connection, it varies depending on which connector you're using. With the ingestion API, specifically, you'll create a connector in the setup in Data Cloud, then you'll upload your schema, and then from there you'll create what's called a data stream. Now, data stream is how you get data into Data Cloud. Okay, so first create the connection to your external system, between your external system and Data Cloud, and then from there you set up a data stream. And here you can see that we have our data flowing from the external system to our data lake object in this image. And what is a data lake object? So there's two types of storage in Data Cloud's data lake. The first is called a data lake object, and that is the first initial container that all the data flows to when you first set up the connector, create the connection, and start getting data into Data Cloud. So there's no transformation here. It's literally just tables, and all that data just flows into the data lake object as the initial table or the initial container. Okay. So think of external system A as either Salesforce, Service Cloud, some NoSQL database, Workday, whatever. Just think of this as any generic system. The first thing you're going to do is you're just going to create a connection. And then from there, you're going to set up a data stream to actually pull in the data, to choose the objects that you want to pull in from whatever source system it is. And then from there, what you have to do is you have to start doing a mapping. So the data lake object is just the initial container. What Data Cloud actually works with, what it is this canonical and harmonized model that it actually understands, and all the functionality in Data Cloud is powered off of, is actually called the data model object. So what you'll then have to do is map the data lake object to the data model object. And then after you do the mapping, you're good to go. And it's a very, very easy exercise to actually get that data into Data Cloud. It's all configuration, so it's really, really easy. And we've documented that pretty well also on our website. Okay, so I'm going to pass this over to Akshata to talk about MuleSoft, something you guys know.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Danielle, for giving us an amazing introduction about Data Cloud. So, regarding MuleSoft, I'm sure you guys must be pretty much aware about what it does. So, for those who are new to it, for coming from the Data Cloud section or the Salesforce side, so what MuleSoft does is so you might have heard about it as a integration tool, as an ESB tool, something for building API lifecycle. So yes, that is true. So with MuleSoft, you can manage your entire API lifecycle at one place. You can do a lot of stuff around APIs, but that's not just it. So there is so much more you can do when it comes to MuleSoft. You can actually build integrations intelligently across different systems. And when I'm saying intelligently, because that's true, you're actually using the power of AI. You're using the power of intelligent processing with IDP, which is coming soon, which will be GA this month in around April. And then there is RPA, there is Composer, there is so many other facilities, so many other capabilities that are available. You can connect with data across multiple streams present in different end systems. You can get a single view of your data, and with this out of box connectors, you can actually connect with any system anywhere, no matter where it is hosted. You can also create, manage your entire API. You can govern your API. You can provide security to your organization, to your APIs at one place with the help of API Manager. And you also have new gateways for your production, flex gateways, and other things. There are like a lot of capabilities that I can talk on and on forever. But today we are going to see like what value MuleSoft brings with Data Cloud and how is it relevant here. So as Danielle mentioned, like we have different connectors for Data Cloud, which like Google for AWS and everything. So we already have this connector. Then why do we need MuleSoft connectors to support your, or what is the role of MuleSoft? So with MuleSoft, you can actually perform data transformation before getting data into Data Cloud. Like we said, like Danielle mentioned, that this is something we're going to do in the later stage. Like currently, she has only spoken about Data Cloud, Data Lake object, where the raw data is been put into. But if there are multiple legacy end systems for which currently there are no connectors available, so in that case, you can bring in data with the help of Data Cloud. And today in this session, we'll be actually going through 4 different scenarios, how MuleSoft can contribute, how MuleSoft can power up your integration with Data Cloud. Okay. So moving further,
I'm going to answer a
Danielle,
question
have a
if that's okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
So we don't lose.
absolutely. Let's take it.
Okay, so if you want to combine the data from two sources, comes from Victor Corzo. If you want to combine the data from two sources, how is the process to do it? That's a great question. So what will happen is you can choose so when you create your data stream, right? That data stream then creates a subsequent data lake object, which was those initial containers that I showed. Now I'm going to go back a slide or two. So this is how you would combine it with the data model object. So remember, this data lake object is just copying over a single object one for one. But then what you have the ability to do is create a data model object that can take multiple data streams or multiple data lake objects information into one. So you can combine it through the mapping of the data lake object to the data model object. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that
Yes.
makes sense. Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay, let's go back ahead. So we're getting into our use cases now. So these are the use cases that you're going to see in today's demo. And one of the reasons Akshata already told on me that I was whining. It's on recording for everyone. It's okay. So one of the reasons I asked Akshata to partner with me is because it was kind of difficult to do these things in Data Cloud with just using the ingestion API, and I felt like MuleSoft made a lot of
Ingestion
these things a lot
API.
cleaner. Yeah, yeah, made these things a lot cleaner. So I'll let Akshata go ahead to the use cases.
Yeah. Before that, let's go back to the previous slide.
Oh, sorry. That-
Yeah. So how MuleSoft and Data Clouds is better together, as Alex mentioned, it improves efficiency. Like there have been few things like which we'll be talking in the further use cases that actually doesn't work completely by Data Cloud itself, for which we can take help of MuleSoft, increase productivity. We can actually make intelligent decisions with the Data Cloud and all, but we can also process our data with MuleSoft initially, and before passing it into the Data Cloud we can perform transformation with data, which you guys know is like a powerful scripting language which we have. So transformations are made a lot more easier with MuleSoft, and also with the help of several different connectors we can also bring in data from the legacy systems with different end systems which currently we do not have connectors in Data Cloud. And yeah, that helps us to deliver a project faster with MuleSoft and Data Cloud. Now let's go back to our use cases, and I'll share my screen. Okay,
yes. Let me stop sharing.
cool.
There you go.
So the first use case, share the window. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Not right now.
Okay. Now,
No, I cannot.
I think you should be able to see it now.
Can
Is
anyone
it
else
still the
first?
same?
Akshata, are you
No.
able to mute that
Try
one?
sharing your screen.
I
Allow
don't
to
have
continue. I
admin
think there are
control.
some browser settings that is not allowing me to share my screen. Give me a minute.
Also, are you able to mute that person?
Yeah, even I'm looking out for the person who's.
Because I don't have admin controls on here.
Yep.
Not all browsers are supported, I believe.
Give me a minute. Sorry.
No problem. You might have to. Do you have to go back out
I'll
and come
I'll
back
have
to the
to go
meeting?
back and come back. Yep.
Okay, no problem. I'll keep everybody entertained. It won't shut down the meeting, though, will it? I don't think so. Okay. Well, let's look at the chat while we're waiting for it to come back. Is the information? So we have a question
Yes, I'm
around.
already back. Let me
Okay,
try
you're already
sharing
back.
it again. Yeah.
Victor, we will do your question at the end.
Are you guys able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Cool. So this, let me go back. So the use case number one, so this is the one which you were talking about, inserting data into Data Cloud's data lake using MuleSoft. So that is like something we call it as ingestion, data ingestions, and for which we'll be taking the help of ingestion API. Danielle, is this something you want to add about the data ingestion API with MuleSoft? That
Um,
is,
the only thing that I would add about this is that there's just two ways. There's two ways of getting data using MuleSoft with the ingestion API, and that's either our batch API connector, which allows you to pull in data via batches from MuleSoft, as well as streaming, which allows you to pull it in at near real time using the streaming API. That's it.
cool. So we'll see now how we have done that. So basically, if you go to Anypoint Studio, I have everything on one system. So bear with me. So this is the project that we have created. Not we, actually. Alex has helped us a lot with this thing, and she's the one behind everything. We'll also share all the links with you guys, so you can actually build up your own project. You can put in the data with the data cloud, insert the data in the data cloud, ingest your API, ingest your data. So for the data ingestion, the first thing was just we have used the connector which we have. So it is called as Salesforce CDP connector because previously it was named as CDP. They are still in the process of changing the name and everything as MuleSoft, I mean Data Cloud, but currently it is named as Salesforce CDP connector. With this, you can see there are several options to ingest data, like using the bulk streaming and everything with query streaming insertion. So what we have used is the streaming to get a near real time ingestion. So we are inserting the objects in the data cloud with the help of this connector. We have to just set in all the configurations. And once it is done, once your API is ready, it is deployed. So all you need to do is go ahead and insert your data. So I have two records here, Alex and Danielle, which I'll be inserting. So I'll just go ahead, click in the request, and I got a 200 OK response. So I'll go back and to my data cloud. So this is the data cloud portal. We have, I mean, you can go. Alex, is there a way they can get an access to data cloud? I think there is some limit, right? If on the account with something.
I think you're sleepy too because you keep calling me Alex.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because you mentioned Danielle. Is there a way we can? Is there a way they can connect to data cloud or they can access data cloud account?
So we're working on that right now. Yeah, we're working on it. Actually, I just talked to Sabrina Hockett last week, so we're working on it.
Cool. So that's going to be for the MuleSoft community, or maybe we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
So to see the records which are inserted, Danielle and Alex, I said your name right. And so we'll go back to Data Cloud and sorry, yeah. Data Explorer. Here you can just select the default data space. You can go ahead and select a data object. So it's going to be data lake object. It's still the initial one. And then you can select your profile. So we have a MuleSoft profile which we have created here. Um,
You mean the data
let
lake
me
object, MuleSoft data lake object? Yeah,
that's
that's
what data lake object.
profile.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's customer profile. And it should have updated. It actually takes some time to update the records. So maybe we can come back to it later and we can see if those records have been updated here. So currently
Yeah,
it's just one record here.
yeah. There's a little bit of latency.
Yeah,
We'll come back. We'll do the next use case.
we'll do the next one. Yeah. So moving back, we have the second use case. So that was all about data ingestion, inserting our data. The second one is querying the data cloud's data lake, data cloud's data using MuleSoft. So for that, we are using the query connector, and it's again as simple. So among all records, among all the several records, like you can imagine the quantity of records you have, or it could be like seriously high, and you're doing it using MuleSoft as if you're just passing actually a query which will help you to get the record. It's actually an SOQL query, Danielle. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's SQL.
And yeah, see, all our records are updated. So let me go back and refresh the page if I can see those records again. And yep. So our two records were posted, inserted here, and that's how we can see them. So yeah, and for which we have used the connector as the query connector. So that is the second use case. And it was super simple. Like you're just passing the payload, you're asking like just like the way we call a database or SQL database or any other database with a query operation. We are doing the same thing with MuleSoft as well. So moving on to our third use case, which is deleting data from data clouds, data lake using MuleSoft. Danielle, is there something you want to talk about? I'm sure there is.
my my stress here. Yeah, so it's really hard to delete records out of Data Cloud. it's really, really messy. So I asked Alex and Akshata if they could help come up with a better way to delete records using MuleSoft. And so, yeah, this is very painful point for me. And so, yeah, this is the use case to solve the pain point of deletion.
And guess what? We could help them with MuleSoft. So yeah, it is actually possible to delete records, delete your records in data clouds, data lake object with MuleSoft. So it's another a simple call. So all is just passing the number of records you want to delete. So if I'm deleting the first and the third record, I'm deleting Alex and Danielle. I'm keeping my record. So you have to just pass it as an array. That's all, and it will be deleting the record. It will again take some time to reflect, but yeah, it will be done. And for that as well, we're using the delete job thing, which makes it super simple. So you have connectors for doing stuff with data cloud in MuleSoft, and that is actually like it's one of the biggest advantage. That's like it's simplifying your task. So you do not, I mean, if you do not have information, if you do not have knowledge about data cloud, you do not learn everything from scratch. You have MuleSoft connectors if you're a native MuleSoft developer to help you get onboarded with data cloud, and they're really easy to help you guys onboard.
Okay, I'm going to
So
pause for questions because I see the questions starting to pile up in the chat.
okay, there's just one last use case which we can show, and then we can go back to our questions. We can have a full round of Q&A. We can have a interactive one as well with microphones on.
Yes.
So the last one is transforming nested object to a single object YAML schema using MuleSoft. So when you're working with data lake, when you're getting data from different end systems into data cloud, sorry. So there is a thing that you need to insert your data with a particular format. So that actually gets difficult to create a single YAML object. So what Alex has done here is, and actually I'm saying because she is the one who was expert with data weave, and she created a transformation file that will help you transfer. It will help you flatten your data. It will help you get your uh, a schema in the way data cloud accepts it. So she has actually built in this transformation file that will transform your data. So I have a schema here, which is the usual like a JSON object, and with this we are transforming it in the OS, the yeah, data cloud accepted format. So
Yeah.
here is the format accepted by data cloud, and this thing, if you're going to do it manually, it actually takes time. So we have just built in a schema generator kind of thing for you guys, and you can leverage all these things on the GitHub. The entire code and everything is available for you to guys to leverage it out. With this, I'll stop sharing my screen and we can go back to all the questions.
Yes, 1 second. I'm going to put this up. So we first want to give a huge thank you to Alex Martinez, or the other MuleSoft developer advocate, because as Akshata said, this presentation could not have been made possible without Alex.
Possible.
She did the majority of this work. Unfortunately, she had a little bit of an emergency before TDX, so she couldn't show up. So Akshata and I did the presentation without her, but she was intended to be in the presentation, and she's done the majority of this work. So thank you so much, Alex. If you watch this back, and also this is the QR code that you can scan to gets you to the GitHub resources. Now, the one thing is the data cloud side. Unfortunately, I thought previously that they had turned on all the functionality in the data cloud 5-day trial orgs, and then I found out that is not true. They did not turn on all of the functionality. So we are now working on, again, a way to get a data cloud org out there that has the functionality available, so for you to fully test this end to end. And questions. Okay, so there's quite a few questions. So the first one is, if the information in some, sorry, the chat had moved a little bit. If the information in some way are the same in both sources and there are some differences, how is the process? So I'm not completely sure as to what this quite is asking, but I think what it's asking is if there are the same information in two sources, how do you combine them without duplicates or something like that? So it's still the same process, bringing in the data via the data stream and mapping. You have the ability to choose what fields from the objects you want to bring in. So it's not necessarily that you have to bring in the whole object. If you know there are some fields that are going to be some duplicates that you think might cause some issues, then you can leave those fields out. But also Data Cloud has this thing called identity resolution jobs, which allows you to run a batch job to match profile data or record data in Data Cloud. So what does that do? It basically creates unified profiles or unified records based off of data that is the same, using matching rules that you configure
Matching.
and set, and reconciliation rules that you configure and set, to be able to combine those duplicates into a unified profile. So there is some duplicate management built into the system with identity resolution, but also just remember that when you're bringing in an object or an external object from a source system, you don't have to bring in every single field from that object. There is the selection process to choose what fields you want to bring in from each one of those objects. Oh, the chat moved on me again. Okay, here we go. Can you push data to Data Cloud as it comes in events using MuleSoft? Yes, that's using the streaming API. So the streaming
API.
API, yeah, that one is the event-based API that allows you to bring in information at near real-time event-based. And then the next question is also, can Data Cloud push events to MuleSoft in real time? So you have the ability to ingest data via the streaming API in near real time using
New
the
real time.
events, but Data Cloud can push out events only to Salesforce using Salesforce platform events right now. So that's the only event-based that goes back. So if you wanted to push data out of Data Cloud, then you might have to push it first using a Salesforce platform event to Salesforce, and then from there use MuleSoft to connect to Salesforce and get that event-based data from the pub sub over on the Salesforce side. Are you deleting it from the stream or from the Data Cloud object? Both. So the data stream, well, really the data stream is only what's set up to ingest the data. So the data is actually getting physically deleted from the data lake object. So it's actually sitting in the object or in the table, and you're deleting it from there. So it's a record. Stream is more like the setup of the data coming in from the source system to the initial data lake object. Can you share the link you have followed to set up the ingestion API data lake in the profile? I think that's in the GitHub. Is that right, Akshata?
Yeah, that's in the GitHub. So this is the URL. This is the QR you need to scan.
Yes. And this has, so what you get in this is the Postman collection is in that GitHub. Also, the MuleSoft jar file is in there with all the project information already set up. So all of
You
that.
have all the screenshots and everything, and also there are several blogs and YouTube videos coming out. So watch out the space. So, yeah.
Yes. And also Alex has pre-recorded some videos on her blog
Videos.
and some.
Yeah.
And also, I feel completely disconnected. Is there any real life use case you can bring to illustrate this technology? Can you help me, Edward, with what part specifically you're disconnected on? And I think that would help me to more better answer that question, because that's pretty broad. Business related. How can I pitch and present our value to core as a Mule AE so they involve us in their Data Cloud discussions with their customers? They ask what's the value the customer has except connecting legacy systems and transforming data in Data Cloud, maybe any numbers. Well, we're really not salespeople. We're developer advocates and evangelists. So we don't really have the sales data and the customer success stories and all of that from our side. But what I would say is, if you are a Mule AE and you work at Salesforce, there's a variety of resources internally that could get you there.
I can also connect with you on our internal Slack, and I can give you a few resources which could be helpful for you as a MuleSoft A, and also a list of few contact person who are actually working with Data Cloud and MuleSoft both.
Yes. Yeah, you can Slack Akshata or I, and we could help you internally. I believe that if anything's not possible through Data Loader IO, then Mule API is the ideal option. Oh, I think that might be someone answering someone else's question.
So data loader is completely different than what we are doing here. So it's only for like inserting like huge amount of data without any transformations and all into Salesforce. But this is something, but then you have to get data from Salesforce again to Data Cloud. That's a different thing. So your Salesforce and Data Cloud are two different, like Salesforce CRM, we are having different clouds, Sales Cloud, and all these kinds of Marketing Cloud and all. And Data Cloud is a different cloud altogether. So even if with the help of Data Loader, you're able to insert data into Salesforce, any of the cloud, again, you have to insert it into Data Cloud differently. But with MuleSoft, what we are doing is we're directly putting data or inserting data into Data Cloud. So that's the difference.
So we have a question. I'm unable, well, a comment rather. I'm unable to figure out why the data cloud can be useful. You sat through this entire presentation and came out with that. I'm unable to see why this is useful. Well, that means we didn't do our job, so I guess we should just leave. No, but really, it's the marketing. Customer data platforms are something that's used heavily in the marketing space. That's marketers
Um,
like to see a single source of truth or a single view of their customer, and a lot of
Absolutely.
times the data might be stored in many different disparate systems. And Data Cloud is really trying to bring in that data into one system so that you could see that single source of truth of that customer. And where Data Cloud is coming in handy is that maybe these marketers don't always have, someone that's super savvy to do all these point-to-point integrations or use a middleware like MuleSoft. And so Data Cloud is trying to use out-of-the-box connectors and configuration similar to MuleSoft Composer in a way to allow the marketer to pull in the data from all the different source systems and still be able to use them around that data around a variety of different platforms like Salesforce, Amazon Ads, Google Ads, Meta Ads, et cetera, Marketing Cloud journeys, things like that.
Yeah.
How near real time is real time in terms of seconds and minutes? That's that's a great question. It's a question we get. I mean, it varies. The answer is really it varies. So sometimes it can come in near real time in terms of milliseconds. Sometimes it can be a little bit later, as you saw um, that we had a little bit of latency with one of our requests today.
But I think, Danielle, the latency is with the data reflecting in, right? I mean, the data is still there in the data cloud, but it just takes some time to reflect it,
Yeah.
because and it could depend with the number of like records that we have, the kind of data that we're inserting, the volume of data, everything. So there are several parameters that might be impacting this thing. Um, yeah.
So here's a question from Lima Ghani. There is a customer who wants to use Data Cloud as an integration between the Google Cloud and Net Zero Cloud. MuleSoft makes sense if it is bidirectional, but will Data Cloud simplify integration in Google Cloud because of their cloud connector? Yes. So like with the Data Cloud connector, and again, we couldn't really go into all the details of this, but the Data Cloud connector allows someone to literally just make a connection between Google and Data Cloud using a service account. And then from there, all I have to do is put in a client ID secret and then the file location of the bucket and the bucket name and all that stuff, and then get in the data. So that simplifies it, that people don't have to work with payloads and all of that stuff. But again, now the preferred way will probably be BigQuery, since now we also have an integration with BigQuery. The BigQuery integration is bidirectional, but also BigQuery just uses the service account as well as the like a private key, and then just a couple more configurations. So it's really just to make it more simpler with doing integrations between those two. And if there is a need to get certified on the product to understand the purpose of it is the next level. I encourage you to get Data Cloud certified. So I think getting a Data Cloud certification is great. So what do you think, Akshata? I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely. Even I'm planning for one.
And I'm working on MuleSoft stuff too. So I'm working on MuleSoft certifications. I think being cross-cloud knowledge is great.
Knowledge is great. True.
So it simplifies in the sense of pulling them into buckets to prep them for our Salesforce clouds. Did I get that correct? Yeah, I mean, it's not just for Salesforce clouds. So the once the data is in Data Cloud's data lake, it can be used across anything else that Data Cloud connects to. So you can send that data to Snowflake even. So you can ingest the data from Google Cloud and send it to Snowflake. You can send it to Amazon S3. So basically anything that Data Cloud has an activation on or can connect to, that data can go to those source systems as well. So Tableau, all those things we're talking about, AI to SageMaker to Databricks to Vertex AI. So that's really where the power comes, is Data Cloud is taking all this data in from source systems, and then it can send it back out to other source systems as well. But the thing is, it's using more configuration, like a MuleSoft composer would, as opposed to having to do a little bit more of the difficult stuff with a middleware. Is Data Cloud Model 360 the same as a regular Salesforce? No, it's not. So that's a
No.
great question. So Data Cloud is hosted in a hub Salesforce org. So you would access it via a hub Salesforce org at like an app. So you would do search in the app launcher, pull up your Data Cloud app. But even though you're accessing it in Data Cloud, I mean in Salesforce, it's not actually in Salesforce.
In
So
Salesforce.
yeah, the back end, the data lake is completely separate metadata and completely different metadata structure from your Salesforce org. So I do get a lot of questions, is people are like, or is my data shared intuitively from Salesforce to Data Cloud and from Data Cloud? No, the data is not shared, even though you're accessing it from the same org, unless you set up the connection to allow it to be shared. So there is the opportunity to allow the hub Salesforce org to access Data Cloud data, and there is the opportunity with enrichments to send this data back to Salesforce. But you have to set those up to allow those to happen. Also using Einstein AI embedded in Data Cloud, you can analyze the data. Exactly. That's the power.
That's the power.
Yes.
So with all the pilot thing coming up and all the AI thing revolutionizing the industry, so Data Cloud actually makes a huge role, and that's the reason you guys can see the surge with Data Cloud, Copilot, AI, everything. So Data Cloud is the main essence, I would say, and that's what we all have been observing as well. And yeah, I mean, to generate an AI responses, you definitely need to have some good amount of data to get a good response. So we can see an holistic view here with the Salesforce 360, and we all think that. I mean, I specifically think that Data Cloud is the one component that actually builds in the gap that we were having with. It actually gives you a single view of data across multiple systems, across multiple clouds. So yeah, that is the value of Data Cloud. I
Okay.
hope I did that right, Danielle.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Perfect.
Cool.
And with that, I think we are done, and we have answered all the questions. So
Questions.
we have there's a shorter recording of this on our Salesforce Developers YouTube channel. If you want to rewatch our TDX talk.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Isabella, for telling us about this and inviting us. And I hope to do more things with the MuleSoft community. I love the MuleSoft community, so I hope to do
Yeah.
more stuff.
You're always welcome, Danielle.
Thank you.
Cool. So let's wait for around 2 minutes. Like if there are any other questions coming in or there's anything you guys want to ask us. Yeah.
Hi,
Hey,
Akshata.
Francis.
I got one question. You showed the last use case of flattening the data to get it into Data Cloud, and I understand the Data Cloud is the sort of canonical model superset for all your data. You might be integrating things like cloud systems, UTC time format for all your orders and transactions, but you might be having on-premise systems which might have different timestamps. So with
Yeah.
the MuleSoft integrating the data into Data Cloud, do we need to, as MuleSoft developers, do we need to be aware of things like changing keys so that email, contact information, telephone is easily mapped? And when it comes to things like timestamps, I've done the Data Cloud training course, and I can see that you can choose what data takes precedence. So if you have the same information in two different systems, you can go on things like the timestamp of the date changes, for example, to choose which is the most, which is the
Appropriate one.
date record. Um, other, well, I suppose those are other use cases for the MuleSoft data into Data Cloud. Is it important to have the same name keys to be able to match data? Is it important to have the same data types when handling things like dates?
So I
No,
would
I think, yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Danielle. Like the Data Cloud side, you can just tell them about what can be done.
I was gonna say that so like as far as the keys, we do have the ability to create your own key qualifiers where you can designate the source as well as what the primary key is. So sometimes like if you're storing the same like key in multiple source systems, you can see that, you know, somehow ingesting that data, you might end up with the same key, which then you need to use the key qualifier field to say that this is the new unique key, since I'm pulling in the same primary key from multiple source system. So our key qualifier fields, that allows you to manage the whole key issue. The other question with the mapping of the data types, I try to match data type from source system as closely. We just released new data types because the data types previously were quite few in Data Cloud, but we just released new data types for Boolean, and I believe I saw more data types on the roadmap. I personally recommend that the best practice is to maintain the data type, but also I've seen some things that looked a little bit funky when I did choose like a number data type, where I was like, you know what, this came in a little bit weird, or this exported a little bit weird, so I used text instead. So I just say kind of look at how the data is coming in, and you can do that using the Data Explorer or one of the.
And particularly with things like the date time format. If you're trying to bring in data from two different systems that have the same data, and you're looking at the date time when the last change record, is it important that those data types match exactly to be able to decide which is the most recently updated record?
Yes.
But Danielle, I think like I have a question here. So this is something from the data cloud's perspective, right? As a MuleSoft developer, you do not have to need you don't need all that information or all that knowledge as well, right? About the keys and everything. Or do we?
I think you do. So it's important to know, I think, how how data is modeled in Data Cloud,
Okay.
to be able to validate that the information is actually coming in correctly from the source system. So and that data is set up correctly from the source system. Now, I mean, obviously, you would probably, as a MuleSoft developer, just set up the connector, make sure the record's in, and
Connector.
probably get somebody that's a Data Cloud expert that then verifies that information. But if so happened to be you as the person that verifies, then you would need to know like how the data is modeled and all that stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Great point.
So there's another question like, when do you ingest data? Is it possible to update the previous data information, or just allowed to create it? So basically, updation. So when you're updating a data, will it be creating a new record kind of thing, or it will be just updating it?
So you have the option when you set up the data stream, whether you want that data stream to do an update, an insertion, or an upsert, which is basically if look to see if this is existing, if this key exists, if the key doesn't exist, then insert. So when you're setting up the data stream, all those are different values that you can choose, including the frequency and stuff like that. You can also set it to never update at all. Like just do this insertion once and never re-update. So all of that is in the data stream setting.
Cool. Yeah, I just muted him. Sorry.
Great question, though.
Cool. I think we're almost done with the questions, and we had a good round of Q&A as well. If there's anything else, you can connect with us over LinkedIn. You can go through our other recordings. Danielle has actually made an entire playlist based on Data Cloud. You can actually check that thing out. It's on Salesforce Developers YouTube channel. And there are several blogs on the Salesforce Developer channel as well for developers, of course, and they are not marketing a thing. So if you want to implement something with Data Cloud, with MuleSoft, feel free to reach out to us to check out the content as well.
Okay. And yes, I see the request, Arsha. Yeah, we could take a look at trying to do something for calculated insights and segmentation. I think we've already kind of started working on something for that we haven't released yet. But yes, we definitely can. In any video you suggest. So again, so that playlist that Akshata was talking about, and I hope this doesn't start playing immediately. I'll put the link here in the chat before we leave. So another one of our developer advocates, Aditya. Oh, it did start playing. Sorry about that.
Let me pull those links out as well from the YouTube and Salesforce.
Gosh, and that one started playing too. Okay, here. Okay, so this is the link to the YouTube series. There's 10 videos on there on Data Cloud, and it talks about, you'll learn about the ingestion API, web SDK, connectors, modeling, all of that stuff. All right. And there's also a video on some other stuff. On calculated insights, Arsha, there's already a video in that playlist on calculated insights and segmentation. So, all right, I think that's all the resources. We good, Akshata?
Yep, we are good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I hope to see you in London this summer.
Will do.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. I think we can drop. I'll connect with you, Danielle.
Okay. You want to stop the recording first, or?
Yes, I'll stop the record.